Hello, I am Danny, and this is Spirit You. This is where I teach the world about spirituality. Ooh. Or rather, this is the space that I bring where I get to share my understanding and wisdom of spirituality with you all. Let me just quickly go over what I'll be going over with this recording. I'll be talking about, I guess, the goal of Spirit You. I'll be explaining a basic concept to wrap our heads around, the basic idea of spirituality. Then I'll just be talking a little bit about, a little bit of my background and my motivations. And then we'll end it with just, a bit of comments and just a few ideas of how I'm going to go about Spirit You, this space, and, what I'll bring, what kind of content I'll make, and mini goals and hopes for this space. But so let's talk about the goal of Spirit You. Now, with spirituality, the concept of spirituality, I noticed that there is a very big confusion. There's a tremendous confusion amongst the general population. And when I talk about the general population, the general masses, I'm probably talking to you. So I have noticed that there is a massive confusion about what spirituality is. Don't worry, have no fear. I'm here now. And I will guide you to what spirituality simply is. At least what I understand it simply is. I guess I could explain what it is first. I think let's get the confusion out of the way right now, and I will explain to you what spirituality is. Spirituality is basically the understanding of energy. That's it. Spirituality is the understanding of energy. You got it? All right. Thanks, everyone. It's been a good while here, but I'm sure you all now enjoy your happy little lives. And my job is done. So thank you for joining Spirit You. Simply, that's what it is. But I'm sure, I hope not, but I'm sure a lot of you are still confused. That's what this space is for. That's what Spirit You is for. It's for us to elaborate and go deeper so we can all understand more and more the idea of spirituality. Because spirituality is actually, it's a system within our whole life, our whole reality that's actually there. The only problem is people don't know how to notice it. People don't know how to perceive that these things are happening when they are. Whether you believe it or not, they're there. And I know a lot of hard sciences may deny the existence of it, especially with the lack of physical evidence. But there is evidence all there. And we even use it in our language. And whether some hard scientists realize it or not, they're all spiritual as hell. Let me bring this back. Let me take many steps back. All right. Spirituality, the understanding of energy, that's all it is. it is happening everywhere. We can talk about the energy, rather. Yeah, let me go back to energy. Energy, that's everywhere. Energy is in everything. Energy is everything. If we want to go deeper into that metaphysical, spiritual sense, energy is everywhere. And so the school of thought of spirituality is accepting it and trying to understand it. Energy is within everything, everyone. And there are many ways we can interpret it. Like, there's, more complex forms of understanding energy, because when we use the term energy, it's a very general blanket umbrella term for all these things that are happening, but it is encompassing everything that is energy. So we're talking about all kinds of energy. We can talk about really complicated forms of energy, like, I don't know, like an entire species that is disrupting the ecological balance of the environment it lives within. Or we can talk about simple energy, like simple understandings of energy, like, oh, fire is hot, or water is wet, or things like, if I clap my hands together, it makes a sound. All of this is spirituality. What's this point I was trying to get at? Energy. All right. So yeah, I was talking about different kinds of energy. Now, I know when we talk about spirituality, there is a particular kind of energy that we all regard when, the talk of spirituality arises. And yes, I am going to talk about that type of energy too. But let me say first that, the hard sciences, they give us comfort. The hard sciences give us comfort because, with the simple principles of science, you observe, you collect evidence that is recordable and repeatable. It's kind of hard to repeat the different spiritual experiences that each person experiences and, make it a standardized collective form. I'm getting confused with what I'm saying, but don't worry, let's get back on track. So what I was saying about the hard sciences is they give us comfort because we can see it. It's familiar and everyone's relied on it so much. So we can rely on it because we can see it. We can look back to all these recorded experiments and all that are verified under specific standards. It takes us away from the darkness where we can't see what's in the dark. Like, we can't see all the details because, in general, people fear darkness because they can't see or they don't understand what's there. So we don't know if we're vulnerable or if we're fine or not. At least the hard sciences, there are particular fields where they can give us the comfort. So when we talk about the more spiritual, esoteric kind of things, it gets very confusing and people don't like to delve in that area. And of course, like I'm going to say again, that's why I'm bringing spirit to you, so we can all understand it more. Because once we understand the language and we're more aware of what to be aware of, what is there to fear? What is there to fear with everything that you already know about? But that's the point. That's besides the point. What I was trying to explain was energy. Yes, energy. And that kind of particular energy that comes up with spirituality. So there's like, the simple physical forms of energy, and then there is the non-physical forms of energy, like emotion or spirit. And I mean spirit as in the spirit we embody, like, oh, he's in good spirits, he's gonna go for a good run, like that kind of spirit. But yeah, we can also talk about, like spirits and ghosts, ooh, and maybe Ouija boards and stuff. I don't know, man. I'm just saying, I'm still not ever gonna touch a Ouija board. Like, that freaks the shit out of me. I don't know, man. I don't want to tamper with what I don't know. I'm not just gonna like rock up at someone's house and mess around and think I'm gonna be fine. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I give it enough respect where I'm not gonna play with that kind of stuff right now. I am curious though. But yeah, so there's the physical energy, and there is the non-physical energy. And there's, of course, like, so many different scopes of energy and all that. And you know what? That's all part of spirituality. Because spirituality is the understanding of energy, physical or non-physical or metaphysical, whatever, and how it affects everyone and everything. How it affects you. That is what spirituality is. And now my job is done, and that's all I have to share. So thanks everyone, and you all have a good night. I did that joke already. That was dry. Damn. Hold on, man. I wrote notes, man. Like, let me go through my notes about what I need to talk about. Yeah, so I know with energy, that idea is confusing, maybe. And spirits and spirituality, it's probably still confusing now, maybe. But I know there are some of you out there with just what little I said pretty much understand everything. That's all I needed to say. And these few just understand everything straight away. There may be a lot of you that understand a lot straight away with what I've just said. But either way, with Spiritu and this space, we're going to ensure everyone is enlightened and that the whole world becomes spiritually aware and is aware of spirituality, how it works. Because once everybody is enlightened and more in touch and aware of spirituality, that's when we all become more empowered. That's when all of us as an entire species, our consciousness will rise to a much higher level. And with that, we can make the beautiful changes that would make this world that we live in more beautiful. And maybe we can finally ascend above this dark age that we live in right now. And you can all finally join me as we dance in the promised land. I know I talk crazy, but it is what it is. We're going to enlighten everyone. You're all going to learn some things, and you're all going to teach each other, and everyone's going to spread this message. Everyone's going to get out there. Everyone's going to start understanding all the old masters out there that have already been teaching this stuff for centuries to the whole world. You're all going to understand everything that they've been saying. You're all going to teach each other, and there's going to be more spiritual masters, and just masters of life and reality out there, teaching everyone and guiding, the younger generations and the older generations. And we're all gonna grow in an era from where we are right now to a more enlightened, more open-eyed species, open-eyed population. Open-eyed, that's not the right word. What's the word? Let's just say open-minded and, more aware, more sensitive. Whatever, we're going to become like more superior. And it's going to be great. It's going to be great, bro. Before I talk about the basic concept that I'm going to introduce, I want to say some side notes about spirituality and all that, even though all I've been talking about is side notes and all stuff. Hey, that's just me, and y'all gonna have to deal with this chaos that is my intelligence. With spirituality, we all actually know spirituality. Deep down inside us, we all actually know it. It's impossible for us to not know it. You know why? Because we live here in this reality right now. And whether we like it or not, this reality is very spiritual. The problem, I don't want to say it's a problem, but the only obstacle right now is that many of us have forgotten the way to perceive the spiritual happenings. I don't even want to say happenings because it makes it sound like just a very infrequent thing. It's something that's happening all the time. Every single millisecond, everything is spiritual that's happening. Me talking to you guys right now, that's spiritual as hell. Whether we're talking about the physical part where it's the sounds that I create that transfers into electrical data that gets transferred and transmitted somehow into different forms of energy, bounces around satellites and gets to you eventually, and then you pick up this audio and your brain perceives it and translates it into some sort of meaning that you can take in. There's that. There's also the straight up spiritual side where it's I have intentions, I emit my intentions, you receive it, and hopefully you receive it in the way in which I intended you to receive it, which is to be enlightened and to upgrade your sense of being, raise your frequency, your vibration. And there's also, well, the spiritual senses are there. There's probably heaps, but I don't want to talk about that right now. But let's just understand that this stuff's happening all the time. Spiritual stuff is happening all the time. And it's not even just that one example. There's so many things happening that are spiritual. Let me break it down. Like the place that you are situated in right now, there's energy all around you. And all of that is affecting you and your current spirit, the spirit that you are embodying right there. Let's just say if I was in a cold place and it was cold as hell, my spirit will feel a little bit uncomfortable because my spirit is aware that my body is not at a comfortable temperature. So my body is going to try to take over the mind and remind it, hey, we need to ensure that we get to a more comfortable temperature so we can survive and sustain our life for longer at this current moment. Just that little reaction of the environment affecting our physical well-being, which affects our body to try to take over our thoughts. Those are spiritual things happening. And then we have to incorporate our spirit, our consciousness, to understand that, hey, this is what's happening in our body. Are we going to act on that? Or are we going to act on something else we're thinking of and focusing on? And then at the end, when us living and being in that current moment, make the decision what we're going to do. All that is spirituality happening right there. Whether it's the mental thoughts, the cognitive things happening, the biological, neurological responses, the perception of it, the decision of what to do. Because maybe if I try to warm myself up and start a fire, Steve, who I'm talking to right now, will be like, hey, weren't you listening to me? I thought you were listening to me. I thought we're having a conversation right now. And then I'm trying to make myself more comfortable so I can engage with him. But am I compromising our current conversation right now by trying to comfort myself? And then the spiritual sense of him, like, how's he perceiving everything? Is he spiritually aware enough to be like, oh yeah, it is pretty cold. Maybe Danny is just trying to get more warm so we can comfortably continue our conversation and talk more and share more knowledge. And there's heaps of things happening. I talked a bit about like a bit of physics, a bit of psychology, a bit of philosophy. There's all that stuff. Everything is spiritual, man. Even if you're studying physics and chemistry, all that has essence of spirituality in it. I will explain in the future about how all of that can be spiritual. I'm not saying like those studies and those I'm not saying those studies are all like 100% about spirituality, but they're all involved. I know an idea that I should put forth to make this all make a bit more sense. Our being, you've all probably heard this before. There's three main things that make our being. There is our physical being, our mental being, our physical being, our mental being, and our spiritual being. I know other people are going to say our emotional being as well, but emotional being, that's actually just a little branch off of spiritual, because like when we want to get more general about it, it's actually just spirituality. Emotions and all that, that's all spirit. How we feel, that's all a sense of spirit. They're all forms of spirit. Yeah, that's a better way to say it. And I know we can talk about emotions in the sense where, I felt pain, and then so I'm reacting to that, and so I feel the pains, and then that's more like a physical, neurological response. But in a sense, that's still a spiritual. There's still spirituality behind that, and there's a spiritual sense to consider in that example. Because remember, everything has these three things: mental part, physical part, and the spiritual part. So it's best when we want to understand something more wholesomely. I don't want to say holistically. We want to understand everything happening in the world more wholesomely, and how we perceive it and how it affects us, or how we affect it. Because remember, spirituality is all about the energy of how everything affects everything, or how we affect everything and everything affects us. We are better always considering the physical, the mental, and the spiritual part of it. Because that's what makes it a whole complete story. That's what makes everything complete. Or those key things, when you have most of those key things, you'll have, a more complete story about whatever you're thinking about or perceiving or considering. Damn, I'm going off on a tangent. But it doesn't matter. Let's get to the more basic concept that I plan to introduce to us. Because that's another concept. Did I introduce a lot of concepts already? Doesn't matter. Because we're all going to go over all this stuff over and over and over again. Not today, but, over time. And we're all going to understand it a lot more. Oh, let me pull out my notes for this basic concept I was about to blast all your minds with. All right. This basic concept, it's just going to make spirituality make very simple sense in a very simple way. And I want to explain it as this little case, just so whenever people forget, they can just use this little story, this little anecdote, this little case, just to remind them of the basics of what will help them remember to interpret everything spiritually. Well, just keep this in your pocket. It's going to help you whenever you feel stuck considering certain things and when you're thinking about stuff. All right. So here's a basic concept. All right. So let's think about a dude, a guy, and he's going to a shop, because he wants to buy something. He needs something. So there's this dude, he walks into a shop, and then he meets the shopkeeper. This dude that goes into the shop, let's think about him and him meeting a happy shopkeeper. At the end of it all, this man, he leaves the shop happy because he interacted with a happy shopkeeper. So the idea is that dude, let's just say he's neutral right now. He's not happy or sad. When he engages with someone that's happy, that happiness affects him. The shopkeeper's happiness affects him. And now this man can embody some of that energy that he interacted with. And he leaves the shop happy. Now let's continue with the story. Or let's change the story a bit. A man walks into a shop and he engages with a sad shopkeeper. There's a good probability that when this man leaves the shop, he may leave a little sad. How about if the man goes to the shop and meets an angry shopkeeper? He might end up leaving this shop kind of angry, maybe very angry. Now let's continue with how we can look at this case. What about if a happy man enters the shop to meet a happy shopkeeper? Happy man meets happy shopkeeper? I think we all know that this man is going to leave that shop very happy. We hope so. How about a happy man enters a shop and meets a sad shopkeeper? The man either leaves maybe a little less happier, maybe sad, or maybe still happy. Well, how about if an angry man enters the shop with an angry shopkeeper? Oh, wait, even before that example, man, because we all know that's going to be hectic. Shit's about to go down. But how about a happy man enters a shop? Yeah, a happy man, he's not neutral, he's happy, enters a shop and meets an angry shopkeeper. He could leave angry, maybe a little less happy. And then, of course, there's the example, angry man, angry shopkeeper. Damn. We all know that one of them is going to end up on, the 7 o'clock news that day. But hopefully not. Hopefully they just both leave pissed off. Now, with all these different things about how this man, how he's feeling, and how he leaves the shop, all that's going on, maybe we can ask ourselves, while we're considering what's happening with this man, what about the shopkeeper? How is he feeling about everything during all these engagements? How's he feeling about being in his shop right now? What is the energy and the feeling of his shop. How does he feel about his shop in that moment? And then having to interact with someone coming into the shop. How does him even deciding to be at the shop at that time, how is that making him feel? What kind of spirit is that giving him or allowing him to embody? And then having to engage with someone. It's all these thoughts, all these ideas we must consider. Either way, with that example and how we see that the energy of one person's interaction with another and the engagement, what happens and the result of it all, that's a nice, basic and simple concept we can use to understand spirituality. It's just all about how when something engages with another thing, how the energy of the first person may affect the second person, or how the second person may affect the first person. And even more deeper and yet more important is how is the person interacting with themselves before they even interact with anything else. So, I know there's a lot of self-development and spiritual enlightenment things out there, and they always focus on how do you feel within yourself? Do you love yourself? You should love yourself. Yeah, that's all important, because that's pretty much asking you, what kind of spirit are you embodying? And are you 100% confident with this driving style that you've decided to use before you head out on the road and possibly endanger all the other drivers out there? We got our body, we got our car, we know its physical capabilities, but still, what are your driving skills? Are you aware of, your driving skills, your driving intentions? Are you driving out there to flow along with everyone? Or are you driving out there to just crash into shit? You trying to get somewhere? Do you know where you're going? Do you even know if you know how to get there? Did I say that right? Yeah, there's a lot of thoughts we have to consider, and they're all about the energy. They're all about intention. In another recording, I guess I will talk about different types of energy. So we have different types of energy, the physical and non-physical. They're basic blanket terms or umbrella terms, whatever. Let me talk about specific types of energy, or let me mention them. We have energy like emotion. We have energy like thoughts. Thoughts are energy, whether we like it or not. We can consider them like potential energies, maybe not in physics what potential energy is. But yeah, in a sense, we can kind of conceptualize thoughts as potential energies in physics terms. We have actions. Actions are energy as well, like kinetic energy. But they're all non-physical. They're all spiritual energies as well. Intention is one of the biggest ones, because intention is pretty much the closest, I think. Is intention the closest? Yeah, it's the closest type of energy to perceive in regards to spirit. I think so. Yeah, in regards to a spirit you can embody and evoke in intention. Yeah, that I think when we want to understand spirituality a lot more, we should. Okay, I shouldn't say should. I just said twice. I will refrain from using the word should. It is better if we consider intentions when we want to consider spirit and the energy of things? What is the intention of that? What is the intention of this? Of him, her, he, him, they, she, he, when, or whatever people identify as, for whatever intentions they have, and wherever those intentions wish to do those intentional things upon people, whatever intentions, that's really gonna help people understand energy and in a spiritual sense. Man, I hope that with all the chaos I've been spitting out of my mouth, people are picking up what I'm trying to say. But just remember that basic concept I was trying to explain, about the man going into a shop. What are his intentions? What are his intentions with his interaction? What are his intentions when he receives the energy of the shopkeeper? What does he intend to, what spirit does he intend to embody after engaging with a happy shopkeeper, a sad shopkeeper, angry shopkeeper? His initial intentions and spirit inside will affect the decision he makes or how he reacts to an energy he engages with. We can go deep and color and paint and put shades and tones in this little simple example as well. Or we can keep it basic. Happy man, happy shop. Man leaves happy. Or sad man, sad shopkeeper, he still leaves sad. Sad man, happy shopkeeper. If done well enough, and hopefully frequently enough, the man leaves happier instead of just entering sad and leaving sad. And you know, the way we can paint this story can go on. There's a million ways to paint it. And I think that's one of the things that makes the general idea of spirituality a very difficult thing to box into the academic hard sciences. Like what specific field do we name it? How do we create this study? And then how do we observe and collect all that data when the story outcome can change so frequently? Like, what are the controls we're gonna put in? And if we're gonna put controls, that means forcing people to think a certain way. That's unethical. Apparently that's unethical. You know, you can't make people happy at demand or sad at demand. I mean, you can, but yeah, even the fact that you can, the ability of being able to do that, that's damn, you know, ethically unsound and all that. And look, there's a lot of hurdles for it to ever be considered something that could maybe join the ranks amongst academia and those hard sciences. But luckily for us, there is a subject, a spirituality subject that has found its place recently within the upon the table of academia. Y'all know what it is. Psychology. Oh, I said it. Whether y'all like it or not, psychology is all about, you know, spiritual things. It's all about spirit. It's all about what type of spirit people are embodying at the time. And, you know, how we can understand them and let's fit them into a basic category so we can eventually tell people, yo, this is the stock standard spirit that everyone needs to be embodying when you live your everyday life. Because if we want our construct of civilization to flow properly, we hope that everyone follows this particular dance and invokes this particular spirit so that our beautiful creation and construct of civilization flows properly. And yeah, that's the angle that the spiritual study of psychology is going, or has been going for a long time. But either way, whether y'all like it or not, yo, man, they were spiritual as hell. Like all them people studying that shit. Everyone now, you're all connecting with it because come on, man, it's giving us light in areas that we don't usually look at. But unfortunately, it's still hard to incorporate into the flow of civilization because civilization does try to keep to the basic rigid structure, because when we make things more rigid and simple that way, it's easy to get the flowed result. Just like with the story I was talking about, happy man goes to shop, normal man goes to shop, meets happy shopkeeper, leaves happy. Basic. And when we try to get civilization to work as simply as we can, we kind of get rigid and basic like that as well. Not considering that maybe we woke up on the wrong side of bed, or I accidentally dropped the eggs before I could cook them, and now I refuse to eat eggs that were on the floor, kind of thing. All these different things happening. Whether we like it or not, we got to use the spiritual studies of psychology to help us dance the dance that society wants us to dance. You may be evoking and embodying these current spirits right now, but these kinds of spirits, we don't accept them out in this physical world. You sort that shit out at home, and when you're ready to embody the spirit that we all want you to embody, that's when you can come back to us, and that's when you'll get paid your regular wage or some shit like that. I don't know, whatever. I just went off in a crazy fantasy, but yeah. Did I get that concept out of the way? Yeah, I did. So yeah, it's all about how energies affect people, whether it's a man going into a shop, interacting with a shopkeeper. I was thinking of the best way to say this. It's not only about the engagement with a person. So now when we get deep into spirituality, it's not only people on people action. It could be people on animal action. Ew. No, okay, I said it that way on purpose because it sounded funny. But it could be your interaction with an object. That can be super spiritual. I'll give you an example. When I need to drive to the shop, for example, and I borrow my friend's car, I may not drive as efficiently as when I drive my own car. Because when I drive my own car, me and my car, we've already connected spiritually. Like my car knows me. Spiritually, my car knows me. I know you might say that, inanimate objects don't have a consciousness or they don't have a spirit. I don't know, man, that's pretty rigid thinking, because we just don't understand how its consciousness may exist yet. We still don't have a conclusion to the brain and neurons working and firing off and creating these sort of physiological actions. We still don't have a conclusion is if that is what is creating consciousness, because consciousness is still not as definable as it could be for the hard sciences right now. But anyway, me interacting with my car, man, we built that spirit together. Like we know each other, and our connection has become like more than just physical and mental. It becomes spiritual. Like I don't have to think too much when I'm moving it and using it. It's all happening in the back of my mind. Like I know my car can bend through this corner at this certain speed and succeed at this sort of rate. And I don't know, like I just know the size it is when I want to park it somewhere. I know how it angles when I try to reverse park or parallel park. Compared to my friend's car, it might be a bit different. It might be faster. The pedal might be more sensitive. There's all these little things. That's a reaction. And we don't even know, or we haven't been able to observe if like, yo, is this car comfortable with me driving it? Like, what if it doesn't like my attitude, and then like it doesn't perform to its full potential somehow, and doesn't give me the best outcome because it doesn't like me, something like that. I don't know. It's. I know it sounds like a fantastical idea, but that's okay. That was a crude example. What's another spiritual interaction with an object? I know there's ways we can perceive spiritual connections with objects. Like, for example, when you use that favorite spoon or that favorite mug, or I know a good spiritual one. This one is gonna work for a lot of you. I should have done this action right now, but all I know is that when I go to work, whatever my job is, or when I need to engage with people and I need a more formal, rigid, structural spirit to embody, I wear a belt. Because when I feel a belt around my waist, that it does something to my posture, and spiritually I embody a more formal, presentable, solid, structured spirit, something that is unmovable, and it gives me a high sense of duty and responsibility. When I wear a belt, I'm already tapped into, a higher sense of duty and responsibility. But I always wear belts. But when I wear like a belt, and then and for me, the next spiritual thing I need to do with this belt is I need to fit it and tighten it to a certain tautness or tightness. Because I wear a belt all the time, but most of the time when I'm wearing casual, I leave them loose and all that. It helps me feel more loose. But when I make it firm on me, not super tight, but like just firm, and I feel that, it just picks me up in a way, fixes my posture a bit. And yeah, I'm way more responsible. And I might seem like I got 2 different personalities, even though I got a million different personalities. But yeah, is that a good example of an object, spiritual engagement with object? I don't know, there's heaps, man, there's heaps. Some people like choosing a particular computer or like a particular beer to drink, or I don't know, a particular cologne, whatever. There is spiritual engagement with communities or groups of people, because when people come together, these separate energies of people can come together and then spiritually link with each other to create a consciousness of its own. Like, for example, when a soccer team comes together, they all have this intention together because that's a collective intention now, and it's its own consciousness. And then so as long as all the parts are working together, the consciousness can be steered together. That's also how we see companies and businesses and organizations. They're all about people coming together and synchronizing their consciousness into the one consciousness, and then that being its own consciousness, its own spirit, that invoking its own spirit. So that's why, sometimes like, oh yeah, don't buy from that company because they're evil, or they're good, or they're righteous, however you wish to perceive whatever organization you're engaging with. What's another example with like organizations and stuff? Yeah, like, where you work, are you tapped into the cultural collective consciousness of that workplace, of that work company? Sometimes the workplace doesn't exactly synchronize with the overall work company's consciousness or spirit, and there's a bit of clashes there. Oh, that's like a more macroscopic way to perceive the spirits happening there. This is the example I want to say. Even whole planets, or whole species or countries, when we're a whole country, in a sense, hopefully we spiritually link and become a collective consciousness. And whatever parameters and perimeters we give ourselves, that's everyone within here. We're all part of this. As long as I'm in here, I'm in part of this collective consciousness. And then we all become one consciousness in that country as well. Sadly, those little concepts are creating separations amongst all of us as a species, as beings. Because we're all part of the same world. We're all the same peoples. We're all part of the same universe. So whatever consciousness is out there on Mars and Venus, that's us too. But whatever. Even big areas like that, when those people come together, or when those people perceive each other as together, when they perceive each other as being part of the same thing, there becomes a collective consciousness. A sync that can be one consciousness. Us here on planet Earth, if I am talking to people on planet Earth, when most of us, or whoever starts to think that we're all together as one, we become part of a collective consciousness. So it could be as simple as, like, for example, me talking right now, and I tell everyone, me talking right now, and everyone on the planet is listening to me at this very second, and I tell everyone, all right, I want us all to consider ourselves part of one, and that we're all together. In that split second, when everyone at that moment starts to believe that they are all unified with everyone else, boom, we're a full, strong one consciousness in that split second there. And then we can become an even stronger consciousness when we also consider that we're also together with all of the environment, like from the trees, the ground, the soil, the bacteria, the fungi, mycelium, the other animals, the air, and all that. Like, when we all decide, like, hey, we're all part of this and we're all this one thing, boom, we all get closer to becoming the one consciousness, and then we all collectively enjoy the fact that we are in fact the universe itself. We are God. But anyway, that's high level concepts and spiritual thoughts and all that. Let's not worry about that right now. Let's come back here to level 1 and 2. We just started this game, so we got to level up first. Let's just go back here. We can't fight the Elite Four right now. Our Pokemon aren't high enough level yet. When we haven't caught strong enough Pokemon yet. We've only got like our level 1 Bulbasaur. Oh no, he'll probably be level 6 right now after everything I said. Maybe level 7. Yeah, we've only got just a single Bulbasaur right now. We're gonna go out and catch some like Pidgeys and stuff first. But yeah, so that's us engaging with a type of energy like an organization or a community. We can engage with other types of energy like thoughts and words. Just a mere word, if it has a strong spirit, if it has strong energy behind it, we can engage with that and it could really affect us. Like, for example, it was so cool. I remember in the 8th grade, here in Australia, we call it year 8. In the 8th grade, my maths teacher, he's passed away sadly, so, rest in peace. In our maths class, he would get this piece of paper and he would put it up on the wall above the blackboard or whiteboard, whatever. He would put it above the board, and that piece of paper would just say, focus. So whenever we're looming around, we're just wandering about in our minds and looking around, and then our eyes stumble upon that sign that says focus, it reminds us, boom, like, oh shit, yeah, we gotta focus on this maths that he's trying to teach us right now. See, there was heaps of spiritual intention. Just one word. He wrote a word, and the spiritual intention behind it, it was really effective. Well, it affected me. He told me he told us all, the whole class, what the intentions of him putting the words focus up right there were, and we understood it. We received that intent, and then whenever we engaged with what he was trying to point out to us, just by looking at it, it's like, oh shit, yeah, let's focus. It was mad. That guy was a spiritual master. Rest in peace, Mr. Anag. I know that's a simple, crude example. But yeah, and that may not be words. Speech. Me talking right now. That's an energy you're engaging with. Actions, the way people are acting and doing and all that, that's all spiritual shit. It's the whole like lead by example thing. There's a lot of people that might say like, oh, I'm a leader, so do this, do that, and they try to command people. But there's other mad leaders out there that they just do shit, and everyone's like, you know what, look what he's doing. And then by looking at the actions of this guy, they can then perceive that these actions are leading to this result. Let's help this person build up to this result. Let us help this person who is leading us to a particular direction get to this destination. That's actions. Or it could be as simple as like, that guy is dancing in a weird way, and he's getting closer to me. Oh my god, he's looking at me. Why is he getting? He's dancing. I don't know. Like, depends how you wish to interact with that guy, pulling off his best moves to attract you. In his attempts of courtship. Yeah, there's just different energies that we can react with, and we can all put them in with the basic concept that I was explaining with a man engaging with a shopkeeper. Damn, I wasn't even supposed to go on that long about all that, but whatever, who cares? This is just what I'm saying. This is what my spirit wants to say right now. So let's go with it. It's cool. All right, enough with all that. I said I was gonna talk about my background story and a bit of motivation. I just want to be simple with this one because I feel like I've talked enough, but a bit of background about me. So growing up, as I was young, I grew up with my mother and father for a portion of it, with my auntie for another portion of it. So like I was kind of living here and there and all that because family life wasn't as stable as the regular atomic family for me, because my parents did split up and all that, so I was always here and there. I had to learn to live with step parents and all that, and different people in charge of the house, different people in the household, and who was who. So there's all these confusing things happening as I was growing up. And for me to understand all these confusing things, or at least to get by with these confusing things, in my mind, I had to make sense of all of it. And with trying to make sense of all these little things as I was young, it really developed my intelligence, or my intellectual abilities. And it made me very open-minded. I found a lot of it, and I had the willpower and desire to understand all these kind of things, because all of this kind of stuff growing up was making me sad. Because, and the reason why I was perceiving it as sadness, or as things that make me sad back then, is because I remember as I was growing up and I was going through all these things, most everyone around me, like for example, when I was still in school, when I was a little kid, like elementary school and all that, and kindergarten or whatever, even high school, most, not, what's the right way to say it? Yeah, most people weren't going through what I was going through. Everyone was having the normal, regular, what was expected of a nice, happy family. Like, a lot of people just had normal ass lives. And me, I don't know, things are just a bit different. So I found it a bit hard. And in order for me to survive in what the rest of the world was telling me was chaos, I just had to level up my intelligence a bit. And through leveling up my intelligence, I really leveled up my spirituality as well, because, the intelligent mind in its raw form that hasn't been exposed too much to education and media as much as an adult would have been, they're just like the young juvenile mind or infant mind is perceiving all these things happening, is trying to make sense of all of it. And whether we all like it or not, there's spiritual things happening there, and I'm perceiving that. So I had to make sense of all of it. So I've always had a sense of how to perceive different experiences and occurrences and situations and happenings, such as spiritual ideas and concepts and senses, because they surely weren't teaching me all that shit when I was trying to learn my 1 + 1s and 2 + 2s. But I just had to make sense, like, yeah, okay, that person interacting with this person results in this, and whenever they go to this kind of place, they end up being like this. And I don't know, just whatever. There was a lot of weird things that I had to understand as a child. And then another factor that opened me up more to spirituality in a weird way is growing up with my mother and my auntie. They were really into alternative and occult and esoteric spiritual practices and beliefs, which is kind of cool. I grew up a lot with my auntie, and she was always into different religions and stuff, and always talked to me about how the world was. And she'd always talk to me in a matter-of-fact way, where like, yo, this is happening right now, and this is the spirit of this place, and this place has this spirit. And I was just like, oh, okay, like, yo, she sounds so sure about it, so this is probably what's happening. And she'd talk about how back then there was like people flying around with blue skin and all that, which is like Krishna and all that. I'm not saying that's like a alternative minority group, because like, that's a big ass religion we're talking about right now. But in my world, growing up back then as a Christian, like, I didn't even know what the hell she's talking about. And there was heaps of different things like she would just interact with me about. And I think it was cool because I was a child, and because I was my mother's child, who should be a very spiritual child. She just talked freely to me about all these esoteric, occult, and alternative ideas about life. And so that made me pretty open to it. She used to always say I am a very strong healer as a little kid, which I didn't get it, but it was cool. I used to just imagine myself being like, like some holy priest being, and then like whatever I interact with, I heal. I still have that sense in me right now, and I believe it's actually happened. Whether y'all like it or not, people around me, heaps of people around me, as in a lot of my close friends and family, all that, they all know it's true. When I'm around, they're all recovering and getting better. They can feel that, me touching them and holding them, that encourages the body to feel better and get better. That's just a little thing. We all have that. We all have this ability to encourage healing within each other. Once you all learn that language of healing, because the truth of healing is not an outside thing. It's only an internal thing. You can go to all the doctors and all that. The best doctors will encourage you to heal yourself. They'll facilitate things that will aid you in recovering and facilitating and aiding your recovery. But that recovery and healing is actually all you're doing, not they're doing. They're just there to assist and facilitate. But anyway, back to childhood with the witches. Yeah, oh yeah, I say that because yeah, my mom and my auntie, their sisters. Yeah, I guess back then in their days, they would be considered as witches because they were the type of girls that were into all like crystals and spiritual stuff and going to I don't know, like all that esoteric spirituality shit. I don't know if they were going to like bushdoofs or to raves or anything like that. But yeah, they were into that. I don't know. I think they went to Woodstock. That was a pretty big ass bush doof, wasn't it? Yeah, so there's me growing up with all them and telling me all this stuff. And being open to things like ghosts and spirits and all that. Like as a little kid, like I had some experiences with ghosts before. That's another thing we could talk about maybe in the future. I'm not going to talk about it now. But yeah, I've had experiences with ghosts and I'd be scared as shit. And then when I tell my mom or my dad or my auntie about this shit, they would talk about like, yo, chill. Like, that's just a ghost, yo. Like, everything's alright. Like, where we're at, there's heaps of ghosts. Like, they would tell me like where we were, there'd always be ghosts around and stuff. So just be cool about it because the ghosts are welcome. And instead of reacting like an idiot around them, just be cool and just say hello. So I was like, okay. I don't know, but that's the way I grew up. I grew up being taught that. Yeah. So my mom, she's I guess in the Filipino community here in Australia, because I'm Filipino. We are Filipino. Yeah, people claim her to be a psychic because she loves crystals, tarot cards, and all that stuff. And she used to always do that stuff. And she would have like a lot of premonitions, and sometimes people would ask her for spiritual advice. And apparently that's an inherent gift that I have as well. I love living the fantasy of it, so I believe it. I don't know if it's true, but it doesn't matter if it's true. So long as I believe it, I've inherited strong spiritual gifts. Oh, and whether y'all like it or not, if we're talking about spiritual gifts, this is the fantastical part that you guys don't have to take on and believe. You don't have to believe any of this stuff. This stuff I'm talking about, like right at this very second. Everything else I'm teaching about spirituality, please take in all that knowledge. But what I'm talking about with my upbringing and these occult, esoteric beliefs, what I was going to say is that I'm a prophet. Whether you all like it or not, I am a prophet. There are many prophets out there. Many of you out there are actually prophets. Many of you out there are actually strong healers. Many of you out there are oracles, those that can see beyond. Many of you out there can channel different energies and spirits. It's just all these skills are dormant, especially with the world of civilization we have to coexist with, which doesn't want us to think about such things, doesn't want us to waste time thinking about such things. But it's all just dormant with us. We all do this, man, because like we're all higher level than this worker class thing that we believe we are. But yeah, what I was saying is, I'm a prophet, whether everyone likes it or not. And I think people know that when I say certain things, to be very wary of what I may claim. This is not me predicting the future. This is me creating your future, whether you like it or not. luckily for Spirit Jew, what is going to happen is everyone is in the whole entire world is going to become more enlightened with my teachings and my understandings. And then we're all going to have our consciousness raised to much higher frequencies so we can make the beautiful changes that we would love to see and experience in this physical world that we all live in. That's a prophecy that I'm putting forth, at least. Don't worry about all the other things I'll be saying in the background that you might not hear. That's not important right now. Let's focus here and Spirit you. Let's grow. Let's get some understandings happening. Some people know that I like tarot cards and scrying and stuff. I don't know if anyone's ever seen it when I was in our younger days, but I would always get like a whole bunch of bottle caps. I'd shake them in my hand and spread them out and try to read them because the gods were telling me a message. Man, I've been doing scrying since we was young, yo. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just been part of my childhood. My mom and my auntie always made me do it, made me learn how to do it and stuff because they knew that I was going to be a high level psychic or something. I still don't understand it. No. Actually, I do understand it, but I don't think it's the psychic that I fantasized while they were telling me about it, because now I see more truth behind the psychicness of stuff, which I will explain in another recording. But yeah, they believed that I was a high level ass psychic, or I am a high level ass psychic, and yeah, they wanted me to yo man, you gotta learn this tarot kind of stuff and learn how these crystals work and all that stuff. I forgot everything they taught me about crystals, but I remember when I was hanging out with certain friends and they would be showing me things about tarot and all that stuff, and they were really fascinated about it. I was like to them, oh, okay, yeah, whatever, because I grew up with it. It's kind of those things I just didn't want to think about. In my head, I just joked about it. I was like, yo, no, I can teach you how to do all this stuff. And they're like, what do you mean you can teach me? And then I just told them, yeah, I grew up with all this stuff. So I was doing a bit of it, and then I realized, oh shit, I remember how to do this shit. I'm good at this shit. I remember the way I'm supposed to, the spirit I'm supposed to embody when I'm scrying or when I'm reading messages from the world. But don't worry about all that esoteric crap right now. This is trying to explain funny fantasy things in my childhood. So yeah, going through all these weird things that were different from the stock standard way of living and way of life that civilization was presenting was most effective, like the atomic family, husband and wife at home with child, having stable lives, and this is the result and outcome of what they should be going through. And how that wasn't happening with me growing up was a bit difficult, because I definitely didn't feel like I fit in. Yeah, I didn't really feel like I fit in with a lot of stuff. I had a lot of diseases and illnesses when I was young. So that made me feel more different as well, and also not fitting in. A lot of deaths and stuff happening around me. So yeah, from what I remember growing up, there's a lot of weird things that it made me really not feel like I was going through the normal stuff. I found it, I was going through it just felt like life to me. Apparently I was going through a lot of hard stuff, and then I needed special care. I didn't feel I ever needed much special care, because I'm like, yo, this is just, this is life happening right now. What am I supposed to do about it? But everyone around me, my peers and all that stuff, they're trying to show me yo, man, you're going through some hard stuff right now. Everything's different. You're not living the regular, atomic family life, and everything's not going that well. So a lot of life And me growing up was trying to make sense. Like, yo, what's everyone talking about? Why is everyone talking about everything's supposed to be like this? Like, this is what's happening. I thought they were all living in delusions and I'm living the truth of shit. Like, that perfect atomic family shit, that's bullshit. I'd see the truth, man. That stuff doesn't always work out. I had to get my head around that maybe what everyone is expecting isn't always the case. You know, I was in the belly of the beast of that sort of philosophical thinking. And through all that, it really opened my mind, which gave me the intellectual faculties and capacities to consider and conceptualize a lot of spiritual ideas. Should I conclude it with that? Or at least conclude the background area? And I'll just also say, so going through a lot of hardships, not only in childhood, but like in adult life, for example, just becoming an adult and having to learn to survive on my own, I can thank a lot of the spiritual understandings and my openness to a lot of spiritual concepts happening around me. I can be grateful for all that because I was able to see everything happening around me and perceive it in a sense and make sense of it that made me feel more relaxed and comfortable, because I could see certain things happening for a reason, not only logically but spiritually, and it gave me more comfort. It made me not as panic and manic about the hard situations I had to go through, because I had already went through all this crazy ass shit when I was young that everyone was telling me wasn't normal, but I'm like, yo, this is normal to me. So as hardships in life started to crop up more and more and more, apparently things are supposed to be this way, but I was already open to the fact that no, maybe there's more reasons as to why it's happening another way, because I'm not part of that regular standardized atomic family type of peoples. You're all over there. That's cool. You're important for the world. You're the reason why McDonald's is a big business, or you're part of that regular population. You're all over there, but do you know what I'm trying to do right now? And what's a big thing with Spiritu? That's another goal I should have said. The Spiritu space that I'm making here right now, I didn't exactly construct it for the people who are already on their way, on the enlightenment and the spiritual awakening and all that, because there's many people and energies out there that you can find and interact with that are already enlightening you. But I'm hoping that this space of Spiritu, it reaches the normal people, the regular population, the general population that feels they've never needed spirituality or never needed to understand spirituality, that think that spirituality is just stupid make-believe fluff. This is for all you, because whether y'all like it or not, as you grow older, you start becoming more enlightened to the fact that, hey man, maybe spiritual concepts are happening in the world and I should be more open to them. That's what this space is for, baby. Y'all can come here where you're not going to feel like a fool for wondering and letting your mind ponder about such things. This is where all of you are going to open your mind and lighten up. So besides my background, let's talk about the content of Spirit U. So yeah, it's about, I definitely hope that Spirit U helps with reaching the regular populace. You're my targets. You are the cattle I wish to enlighten. I was about to say slaughter. I have no such intent of slaughtering anybody. A spirit through my spiritual growth, I had overcome any intentions of harm. I'm now a man of peace and love and growth. But with spiritual, yeah, all you regular ass people out there that laugh at the idea of spiritual things or religious things and all that. I'm here for you. You are my prey. Well, you're a big bulk of my prey, and my whole my whole audience is everybody out there. No one is above all this. No one is, above the law, not the law, but no one is above all this. We're all people, so this is for all of you, for all you peoples. I guess I just thought of an idea of one of the hopes for Spiritu. Man, I hope everyone out there connects with whatever I'm going to say and translates into their language what I'm about to say. Because that's going to be cool. I should probably clean up my talks and make it more scripted. But I don't want to do it that way. I want you all to just sit with me and try to flow with the different energies and spirits I invoke all at once and just get lost in my madness with me. Maybe. What are some other hopes that I have for Spiritu? I wrote them down, didn't I? Where are they? Yeah, I would like. Well, whether I like it or not, whether I like it or not, there's going to be a huge initial following and it's going to be cool. And then that means I could do more live talks and live streams. Public talks out there when I go out there and just talk in front of people. And y'all can ask me questions rather than just me just talking to a recording. I hope that I encourage enough people to encourage me to open, public forum where we can all come together and chat and discuss certain things, open public forums, whether they're digital or virtual, or whether they're actually like buildings we can all go to and we have like different theaters, amphitheaters and interview rooms where we all talk and teach each other things. We all share knowledge with each other, like some ancient Greek, Roman philosophical stuff. And no political agendas or anything. It's all just sharing knowledge. No arguments, just discussions. No offense to a lot of you out there, especially a lot of my peers. The world will learn the difference between an argument and a discussion. See how the more general idea of discussion differs slightly from argument. Even though they are interrelated, they're different. Because sometimes I want to have open, intellectual, sophisticated discussions, but certain people come around and y'all got lots of knowledge. I love it. Thank you. But they turn these discussions more into arguments, because rather than fulfilling the original purpose of discussing ideas and sharing truth so we can all become smarter and sharing and understanding each other's ideas together, they turn it more into a talk where what they say is the correct thing. Doesn't matter what everyone else says. It's all about what they said was right. That's not a discussion, yo. That's just an argument. That's you just trying to prove that you're the winner. I love that you guys know all these things and have lots of knowledge to share, but unfortunately that spin that you are the dominant contributor of information, that pretty much throws the idea that of us having a discussion in the bin. That means like little Johnny over there that might have had like this awesome piece of knowledge that he could share with us, but he's a bit quiet and he doesn't know when to talk. That means whatever he's got to say, we're not going to hear it, because there's no room for, his weak ass to join the discussion, because it's not a discussion anymore. It's an argument, and only the strong survive in those kind of fights. It's got nothing to do with knowledge. It's got to do with the fight. But yeah, I wish to open, no, I don't wish to open. We will open public forums where people come together in peace, learn, and share knowledge and have discussions. And then maybe on the side, there's going to be like the argument arena where all the debates and all that stuff can happen. That's cool, because with the debating, those are exercises that also help us uncover more truth as well. The debates, when conflicting ideas clash, in a sense, that clash helps to identify certain truths that both were not focusing on and seeing, and other mechanisms that happen within debates and arguments as well. But yeah, I hope for that with Spirit U. A big hope for Spirit U is religions and communities and councils around the world. They all listen, acknowledge, and adopt a lot of the teachings and knowledge and wisdom that I spread and talk about here, and they adopt it and utilize it with their practices as well. So like religions also considering things that I have shared and taught, and they utilize it because they understand, yeah, you know what? That is helping us enlighten ourselves. And yes, there's definitely a factor we could use to help with our religion, so we can enlighten our communities and such. And even councils, like people looking after big communities and stuff. There's a lot of things that we can all consider. And this is me not being woke. I'm not woke. Woke is... Okay. You know what? I'm not going to say anything right now. But no, I'm not being woke, okay? I'm being spiritual. It's completely different. Spiritual is right wing and left wing. It's all wings. Because we all angels, baby. We need both. But yeah, I hope that things I share, some of my teachings and understandings do get adopted by lots of people, so the message can spread out more. And I'm not claiming that everything I'm saying is mine as well. This is all things that I've learned through experience and other people's experiences and knowledge. This is stuff that's available out there to the regular mainstream populace. Because when you go on YouTube and like TikTok and all that stuff, and just the internet in general, Google stuff, man, there's all this spiritual knowledge out there. There's all these people teaching all this stuff right now for centuries, I don't know about centuries, but for decades. Yeah, a lot of this wisdom and stuff is not new. It's ancient wisdom. Ooh, that sounds crazy. Yeah, I speak that ancient shit. Ooh. He speak that ancient shit, son. But yeah, it's all stuff we already know inside. We just need to remember the tune. We just need to remember the way the melody sounds and enlighten ourselves with it. And yeah, I'm not the only one that is preaching, is sharing all this light. There are other people out there. But I'm just saying, this specific scope with Spirit U and what it intends to do, I hope that energy does spread throughout, where other people use it for their teachings and practices and spiritual practices. That's a better way to say it. What else did I write down? I don't know. Maybe if enough this reaches, when this does reach enough people, I hope the world gives back to me. No, when this reaches enough people, the world will give back to me so that I could sustain my life where I no longer need to work my current job. That's not a hope. That's just a knowing. That's what's going to happen. One thing I do hope, I hope that whenever anyone sees me and they just see me without, they smile at me. They just share a nice loving smile and say hello. I may not stop for a full conversation or anything, but just a simple hi. How's it going? And just smile at me. That's all I want. Like everyone that sees me and notices me, recognizes me, say hello and just smile. So I hope that when I smile back, or just the fact that the act of you smiling already encourages more positive energy within you already. So I hope I act like, a beacon, a reminder for everyone to smile. That's something I definitely hope for. Because I like knowing that when I go somewhere, people feel more comfortable and happier that I'm around. I do try to provide that. I may not have always succeeded with places I go to make people feel more comfy and happier, but that's all I want now. All I want to do is just spread happiness and goodness out there. Because it is possible. You just haven't learnt of how it's possible. Which is actually very simple, but it's going to take a bit of work first. I'll eventually teach that. You will all learn it. Or you'll learn it of someone else. But it's all possible. Hold on. You know what? I talk for way too long, but whatever. I'm pretty sure I got the main ideas out. Let's wrap this up. I want to talk for another 5 hours, but let's just wrap this up right now. Because there's going to be heaps more recordings and content. It's going to be heaps, G. Alright, so let's conclude this. You guys understand do you guys understand the goal of Spirit U? It is to spread the knowledge to the whole world. Share my understandings and my knowledge and wisdom about spirituality so that everyone further understands spirituality and we all become more enlightened, so that when we are more enlightened and we raise our frequency, we as a collective can make better changes for the whole entire world as one unified world, not under some sort of crazy ass structure like New World Order. No, that's not even necessary. Once everyone's more empowered and enlightenment, everyone becomes the same and we can all work together to paint a beautiful picture of where we live. So yeah, the goal, to recap, the goal of Spirit U is to have everyone understand what spirituality is. And that is that spirituality is the understanding of energy and how energy affects everyone and everything. And Spirit U will elaborate and go deep into it with more talks, more recordings, more engagement. And we're going to really decipher and get down to the crux and all the little, shades and tones and angles and all of it. We're going to explore all of that, just so no question is ever left unanswered. what else do we need to recap for this conclusion? Let's all remember that little short story of a man who walks into a shop and engages with the happy shopkeeper, and how the man then left the shop happy. Let's remember that, because remember, that little story reminds us that every engagement, we interact with the energy, and that affects our energy, and it also affects their energy. And even before that initial engagement, we are already consciously and unconsciously embodying a certain spirit, a certain energy. So when we embody a certain energy and we interact with another energy, there's going to be a mix. There's going to be engagement and, an exchange of energies. And then when we disengage, we then embody a different degree and detail of energy. Whether we meet someone happy and we leave happier, we could live sadder engaging with someone happier. I've been there before, but I've learned how to not be that way anymore. I've learned how to control those spirits and energies. So let's remember, man goes to shopkeeper and leaves shopkeeper feeling a certain way. What else did we talk about? A bit of my background. Don't worry about that. That's not important right now. Just those two main things. Knowing that Spiritually wishes to enlighten everyone about spirituality, and to remember that dude went to the shop, and when he left the shop, whatever detail you wish to give that story, understand why it happens. Consider why it happens. Because that's how you're going to learn how to become more spiritual aware. And I guess a take-home thing for everyone is, after you leave this video, or you've finished listening, the next day when you wake up, I want you to think about your first engagement with the first person you interact with. The very first living being that you interact with, I want you to think about what kind of spirit or what kind of energy did you embody at that time? Were you happy? Were you sad? Were you stressed about work? Were you feeling refreshed because you slept? Were you feeling fatigued because you didn't get enough sleep? Are you feeling uncomfortable because your body feels too hot because someone didn't turn up the heater? Whatever. And then thus leading to you feeling edgy, happy, sad, whatever. Consider the energy that you had embodied when you engaged with whoever it was you engaged with. Consider what energy or spirit they were embodying with before interacting with you, how the interaction went, and how you left, and what spirit you had then embodied after you left the engagement, and what spirit they may have left after engaging with you. Like what spirit have they now embodied after leaving you? I want you to consider those things. The very first person or living being that you interact with, because it could be your cat or your dog. It could be I don't know, the possum that's in the tree that was staring at you when you woke up and you saw it, or like, whatever pigeon was outside, like just whatever living being. Just think about your spirit, their spirit, your engagement, and the result of your spirit and their spirit. I want you guys to think about that, because that's spiritual awareness practice. There's a better way to say that. But yeah, just, do that. It's good. It's how we start to enlighten ourselves even more. And yeah, the more you practice, I don't know, maybe you could do it for everyone, but don't overthink it. So with spirituality, it's not supposed to be too much of a conscious mental thing. Don't think too much about it. Let it more, just do it once and then let it roll. If you do it once every day, that's better than you trying to overload with like a whole day of doing it full on and then being so exhausted thinking in that certain way that you can't be bothered doing it anymore. No, don't do it like that. Just do it once every day with the first person you engage with. Just understand the spirit and how you all interact. We grow plants by watering them a little bit every day, rather than just chucking heaps of bucket loads of water on it for like one day and then don't water it for the next 5 weeks or something. No. We cultivate and nurture in good proportions. And yeah, story of my life. So yeah, I'll leave it there. And don't forget to practice that spiritual awareness. Don't forget the shopkeeper, the man and the shopkeeper. And don't forget that this is for everyone. And we're going to learn more about spirituality with Spiritu. Because you're all spiritu. Thank you.